It's 11 right now and pretty much half an hour left for GMTK's Game Jam. I'm pretty much excited for this one because it's my first Game Jam ever. So let's see what happens. GMTK Game Jam 2021. It's here. It's a game making marathon in which you will be provided with a theme and you have to make a game on that specific theme. You have to make it in 48 hours and from scratch. It launches every year since I think 4 or 5 years. This will be the 5th Game Jam from GMTK. And millions of people around the world join this Game Jam. I mean, not millions, but a lot of people, like thousands of people. And yeah, I joined it too, with no experience in participating in Game Jams. Joining a Game Jam is really a great way to learn something new. Like, I don't care if I win or not, at least I'm gonna gain some experience working on games. And also, the theme is provided are literally out of the box. Like, you don't know about the theme until the Game Jam is started. So you're gonna work a bit hard on ideas to get that theme into the game, and which is fun actually. Anyways, so this year's theme was Join Together. And as the theme was announced, I started working on the ideas I come up with. And after an hour of working, I come up with something to start working. Okay, so let me explain. So consider two circles or spheres, whatever you can assume. And these two circles are connected with the invisible bond. And if the bond is broken, the player will die. Bond will be broken by either enemy or the obstacle. The bond is not visible to obstacle, so the the player can go through the obstacle if there is an obstacle in between two players, like two circles. But if there is a enemy come around and get into that bond, the bond will be broken and boom, it's end. Then the next day, I woke up and start implementing the ideas. So first, I created a fresh Unity project and a circle. And according to my idea, 2 circles. I like the idea to keep the bond between them is hidden, like you can see it with naked eyes. So I only made an empty with a collider attached to it, so we can play with the collisions. So I created a play movement script, did some coding, and we have a movement and rotation now. So basically you'll use A and D or arrow keys to move left and right, and left mouse button and right mouse button to rotate the player anti-clockwise and clockwise. Let's create an obstacle now. A square. Write some script, created a hot red enemy and wrote some code for the bond. I spent nearly 2 hours working on enemy, obstacles and player and bond. Created spawners for the obstacle and enemies. And this is how it looks like. Then I created some variation in obstacles, which are just bunch of squares. Did some coloring. And this really coming out so great, like better than I expected, but still looks trash because my player just getting destroyed after colliding with an obstacle. So don't worry, we'll solve it. But first, let's add some post-processing now. Everything works great now, but now the player has to know if the enemy is coming or not, so he can move around and be safe. So for that, I created a graphic for caution, which will appear on the screen right before the enemy. Tweak some scripts, and there we go, works perfect. Then I added some trails to the players and added some death particles with the Unity's built-in particle system, which looks awesome. Now let's add some slow motion. Here I wanted to make a slow motion when player dies, and I had no idea how it's done. So I googled it and this guy helped me, and boom, we have a slow motion now. Everything's making sense now. The game seems kind of finished, and it's time for some UI and end screen animations, because I don't like the static animations. Then in last couple of hours, I worked on a pause system and some things wasn't working properly because I messed up timescale for slow motion.
You mess with time, it tends to mess back.
I spent nearly an hour working on the pausing of the game. And finally it worked. Then I improved the UI a little bit. And finally it's time for the bond particles. When the enemy collides with the bond, it will be broken and you will be able to see it breaking with naked eyes. The last thing was left to make a tutorial of how to play. So before that, I first created my game page on itch.io so that the only thing will be left to upload and submit the game. And then I worked on a tutorial. And there we go. Our game is complete. We have main menu, pause screen, retry screen, and the most important tutorial scene. The game will be rated on 3 criteria: fun, originality, and presentation. The game is out now, link is in the description box, you can try it out yourself. Rating is done already, and guess what? I did not win the game. And do you know what you can do in just 1 second without having a programming knowledge? Hack YouTube. Yeah. Just press the like button to hack YouTube algorithm and don't forget to subscribe. It helps me a lot and keeps me motivated. And stay tuned for this kind of content. I'm pretty much done. See you in the next one.
Beat by Apollo, stop at New Apollo's. Copper Henny sour, and I'm puffing Jack sour. Yeah, I feel a